Heyo. Hey guys, what's up? What's happening? Welcome back, Bear Down. Big news happening all over today for the Bears. I do think we're done at this point. I really do. I don't think there's anything big going to be happening. We can restructure contracts after contracts. I got an accent all of a sudden, guys. We can restructure contracts and we can make things happen. But we don't know how these contracts fit right now. We don't know the salary cap on them. We know what the value is, but we don't know if they're front loaded, back loaded. Can't be front loaded because we can't afford the salary cap on all three of these. Drew Dalman earlier. I think everybody's up to date with that one. Now, two big signings. Dayo, Odeyingbo. I don't have his name. An appropriate. I had it earlier too, man. My really good buddy Brock, who some of you saw last year on the channel. Huge Colts fan. Dayo Odeyingbo. Odeyingbo. I'll get it. Grady Jarrett's much easier to pronounce. Both of these are huge signings. They are big. Don't undersell either one of these. I'll break them down for you. These are both big signings, and they both fit Dennis Allen perfectly to a T. All right, it's a FedEx truck. I heard a beeping. I was hoping it wasn't coming from the baby over there in the other room. So just got her down to her nap. Guys, these are big. These are big, and it does mean the salary cap is shot now. I don't know how these are going to be structured, how the contracts are going to go. I'll break it down. In fact, we'll pull that up first because I know you guys love this stuff. So let's present, share screen. Let's get to the salary cap. You guys like to see the salary cap. Let's pull that up. All right, so here's the salary cap. I got to change the screen here so you guys can see it better. Just take me off. So there's the salary cap. All right. See there how it says we are negative. I can just close this. I want those files later. Thank you very much. Let's zoom in here. Scroll over here. Zoom in. Scroll. Boom. Here's the salary cap as it stands right now. Now, what you're not going to see at other places is they aren't accounting for the rookie cap yet. They're not accounting for the practice squad. Those things will have to be accounted for. So it's not like we've broken any rules. We still have time at the league year change. We're still under the cap. It's going to be fine, but then we're going to have the draft and we're going to have practice squad guys. So we're going to have to make it fit somehow. We're going to have to finagle this, and he usually goes in with some additions. This is now 40. Add to that 7 draft picks, and we really only have 6 players to go. You can see long snapper is going to be a cheap contract. This additional safety, I would guess Jalen Jones could still come back. That could be a cheap contract. Who they're going to get at linebacker, I'd guess a draft pick there. 2 draft picks here would be my assumption at this point. And these are so what I'm saying by we don't know the details of the contracts. They could have made this 13 million here and 19 million here. And it still fits the parameters of being that $48 million contract. And that gets us right back within range of the salary cap. And it could have been the same thing. Excuse me. Same thing on Grady Jarrett's. Maybe it's 11,500,000, 14,500,000, and 17,500,000. So 11,500. Ooh, not that much. Geez, 11,500, 14, and then 17,500. And as soon as those contracts are announced, guys, you know me, I'm going to get on here. I'm going to tell you that would put us back under the cap, and we would be fine. We can restructure some contracts still. I don't see them restructuring contracts at this point. I don't think that's the MO that we're going to be in. I wouldn't think that's what we're going to go for. So I would think right now we just have to wait to see if these are front loaded, back loaded, and where we go from there. Let me go through the entire roster here for you so you can see it. And I'm wasting time doing this, but you guys are here. So, all right. So on the offense, we got Caleb Williams, Tyson Bagent. Nothing's changing there. DeAndre Swift, we will sign a running back. I will get to the implications in just a minute. I know everyone's going to be speculating now. Now the true civil war does begin on this fan base. We will be hearing what everyone thinks about the first round very soon. But here's a clear need. We're going to draft one of these. I would assume the other one, maybe we're going to have to bring another wide receiver in. 1 in the draft, maybe 2 in the draft. It's going to be interesting to see what they do there. Tight end, it's going to have to be in the draft. And then your backups here, maybe Bill Murray does move up to become this backup guard. Maybe he does get elevated. I don't have him listed here. I know that, guys, but he's not on the 53-man to me. But we'll update that as soon as they start getting the depth chart and everything organized. But this is the big news of the day is these 2 right here. So let me get into each of them. Each of those 2 guys. We'll move that from the screen. Bring me back onto it. Ooh, there I am. I'm little. Add to the stage here. All right. So first of all, before I start getting into each of these guys, I'm gonna tell you guys my take on it, and I'm gonna be very realistic and unbiased. All right, you guys know I don't want to take a running back first round. That's how I feel. I just think it's a waste of draft capital when your running backs aren't going to take that much of the salary cap. When there's a deep running back class, you can pick up Ashton Genty or O'Marion Hampton or Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins or Caleb Johnson or Cam Scattaboo or DJ Giddens or Devin. I mean, there's so many you can take, and they would all be running back ones on this team. It's just a fact. Where the Bears will take one, I clearly think they'll take one day 1 or 2. No one can tell you if they're going to take a first-round running back. No one can tell you if they're going to take a second-round running back. But there's going to be clear priority on this team. We still need a big boy in the middle, nose tackle, and I'll show you the entire roster now in just a minute. We still need a big boy nose tackle. We still need a defensive end of the future. Dayo's a great signing. He is not a long-term fix, and that position keeps getting paid more and more. The reason Dayo, now, the cool thing about him, a lot of people won't hear this story till later. Let me actually go to his page. Come here. Let's do this. Come here, guys. Let's do this. All right. Let's do this appropriately. So here's Dayo. All right. Dayo Odeyingbo. Dayo Odeyingbo. The thing that pops out about him is 6'6", 286. Well, you might think, well, why isn't he playing 3-tech? Well, you can see at the bottom, right below that bottom right. So this is SpoTrack, or I'm sorry, this is a PFF paid subscription for those who aren't familiar with some of the screens that I show. On the bottom right there, on the entire bottom of the screen, it says 4 years with Indianapolis. They signed him as a free agent or as a draft pick in 2021, same draft as, Justin Fields in our draft. So second round, 54th overall. Look at last year. If you can read that at the bottom. I don't have the pointer when we're using StreamYard. I apologize for that. It is what it is. We'll get things changed here in the future eventually. But 12 sacks last year, 4 sacks this last year, or 2 years. 2 years ago, 12 sacks. This last year, 4 sacks. And on paper, you look at that and say, well, what's the drop in production? This was 100% the secondary. So teams were getting the ball out against the Colts at a historic rate last year. Their secondary sucked bad. I was about to say something I shouldn't say. It sucked bad. Their secondary was terrible. So teams were releasing the ball quick. Even quarterbacks that process slowly released the ball quick because their secondary sucked. The year before, the Colts set a sack record for their team as an entire unit. They set a sack record for them. Their secondary was better 2 years ago. Now they're working to fix the secondary. I think they just signed Cam Bynum. It's their big safety. They're going to go hard in the draft with their secondary. The Colts have to fix that. But last year they were so weak, teams could get the ball out quick on them. So even though the defensive line was decent, DeForest Buckner, I mean, they have some decent defensive linemen, their production numbers dropped significantly because the secondary sucked. And this is what we talked about with the Bears. When that's a balanced approach, when it's a balanced team, the secondary and the line help each other hand in hand. You get the pressure up the middle, pressure on the outside, the secondary locks them down, and that's how your defense is supposed to work. That's how you get a lockdown defense. That's how Bears defenses of the past have worked. That's what we're looking to rebuild here. Dayo Odeyingbo is they nickname him. You know how Matt Eberflus would nickname some of our guys different nicknames? They nicknamed the Human Tornado. You're going to hear that come out. That was his nickname because he's 6'6", 286, but he plays like he's 245 pounds. He's a defensive end that is a defensive end. You can see over on the far right bottom there, over tackle on the outside. I kind of cut it out a little bit. That stinks. Most of his snaps are over tackle or wide 9, out wide. He is a true defensive end. Now, he gets pulled in sometimes like DeMarcus Walker because he's big and he can handle it. He can play 3-tech when needed. So he can do that, but he's got a relentless motor. When you watch this guy on film, we got him for $16 million a year. When the defensive end numbers are going up significantly, when guys are signing, Milton Williams on the defensive interior just signed for $26 freaking million a year. Man, these values are going up. So this is what I talked about last night, where we have to focus on the draft, on getting some of these, some of these guys in the early rounds that are true impact makers, Landon Jackson, Jack Sawyer, guys that are going to, obviously if we can go first round with that, great still. If we can get Abdul Carter, great. If you can get, maybe we'll go Shamar Stewart. Maybe we'll go some of these big guys like Dayo, who are bigger defensive ends that can learn underneath him. But that's what this is. Taking someone who's got 4 years in the league, who has a relentless motor that can work really well with Dennis Allen, and Dennis Allen is going to bring some out of Dayo. Dayo is going to work really well with him with his size, his athleticism. I don't have the RAS score on Dayo. I hadn't been able to pull it up. It looked like it didn't have complete numbers on all his, so I didn't see a RAS score. But when you watch him on tape, like he literally was called by their scouts and by their team the human tornado because he's a flurry of a man at 6'6", 286 who gets in on every play, who's just a constant motor and constant going. So this is don't take the production numbers and say, oh, that tackling grade of 28.9, pass rush grade's all right, 65.5. Who cares about the coverage grade when you're an edge? Your run defense, I don't know about this guy. I don't know. Only 4 sacks last year, 12 sacks the year before. This is one of those where I don't care about the sacks from last year. You see him 2 years ago when they were a complete unit. The Bears have built something here. We do have a good secondary. We've got some elite safeties. We've got some elite cornerbacks. I'm really, really, really excited about this pickup. 16 million a year is a really good signing for Dayo Odeyingbo. Absolutely. The other one, let's get to Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett, 14.5 million a year. Both of these are basically guaranteed for 2 years, and then the guarantees after that are gone. All right. Great. Are we going to keep pillaging the Falcons? Grady Jarrett also coming from. Now, they actually cut Grady Jarrett before this. 6 foot, 305. He is a 3-tech. You see over on the right, this isn't cut off. You see the B gap there and A gap. He's playing some over A gap, which put him more at the nose tackle position, but B gap. Your B gap guy, when you see that on their stats, that's your 3-tech. Well, why would we bring him in when we have Gervon Dexter? Well, plain and simply, Zach Pickens is not working out. Zach Pickens is poor on every aspect of poorness, however you want to say it. I think Zach Pickens is a cut candidate now at this point. Don't look at that as saving us a ton of money because it's really not. I mean, that's saving us $1 million, but you're going to replace someone with the same value. You're going to have to start restructuring some things or having some of these backloaded to be able to make this work. No, he is not starting over Gervon Dexter. What this is Gervon Dexter's taken leaps forward every single year. Now he plays really, really well, and they demanded more out of Gervon last year than they should have had to because those behind him sucked. Just plain out flat, simple, sucked. I talked about all the end of last year how bad our defensive line was. Our defensive line was terrible. Byron Cowart, Zach Pickens, they just were not working out. The Bears took 2 defensive tackles in that draft 3 years ago and took Gervon Dexter and Zach Pickens. Now, neither of them helped each other. Do I have a baby waking up? I don't think so. She should be sound asleep. I just heard a sound. They should have a vet in there to help them, but they didn't. They didn't have a vet in there to help them. So now what this is Grady Jarrett's 31 years old now. He's not on the downhill slide, but he has a lot of experience, and he can rotate in and play 20, 30% of snaps, take 10% off of Gervon Dexter's shoulders, and also help teach him, give him some refined technique, help him understand some things that a fourth-year player would be learning that can help him take his game to the next level. We know Gervon Dexter is very serious about his craft. Last year, he hired a nutritionist. He cut out all the fruits and all the snacks and the late night sweets, the things that keep me fat. Those things Gervon Dexter, as a professional athlete, said, you know what, I'm cutting these things out. I'm hiring a professional chef. I'm getting disciplined. He cut down the body fat. I don't remember what his body fat ended up getting down to, but it was something ridiculous, like below 10%. Or something, maybe it was under 15%. It was something ridiculous. You saw the videos of him. He trimmed down. Every once in a while, he posts on social media and he shows the work he's putting in now. Gervon Dexter wants to be great. And I want that out of my Bears players. I want that. So Grady Jarrett coming in. Grady Jarrett, great player. You can see the very beginning of his career, all those blues in there. He has come down a little bit as he's gotten older, and maybe the scheme, different things in Atlanta changed. They did go through some changes in Atlanta. I don't see this as a negative thing, like, oh, this dude's on his way out. No, he still produces at a decent level. He produces at a decent click. To me, this is to help Gervon Dexter, but to give true rotation. When Gervon has to come out, you're not dropping that production down to be abysmal when Gervon has to come out of the game. Before last year, that was the problem. Andrew Billings played fine. He was a fine rotational guy. borderline fringe starter. He's definitely not top of the league starter. But when you take him out of the game and you got Chris Williams and you got Byron Cowart and you have to go pluck from somebody else's, which is what we did. We plucked from the practice squad. We went and got from the Packers practice squad, Jonathan Ford, who I like Jonathan Ford. But if we're being realistic about it, we don't want to keep settling for mediocre. We don't want to have these guys that are fringe NFL guys that are on practice squads coming in and playing impactful time on our team. Let them be practice squad guys. Let them be emergency guys that we come in. So Grady Jarrett, very quality pickup for us to be able to help Gervon Dexter, also rotate with Gervon Dexter. Instead of having to play 80% of snaps, maybe Gervon can play 65% of snaps now because the drop-off with Grady Jarrett, honestly, the two of them are 1-2. I would give Gervon the edge with how he played last year and how he's coming up every year, but it's not a significant change. These two are both very solid 3 techs in this league. Mark Cooley, going to highlight you, a newest member of the channel. Appreciate you guys. I will put a link in this when it's over, how you guys can become subscribers of the channel. Don't feel pressured to do that, but it does help me continue to grow the channel. We just surpassed 10,500 subscribers, guys. We did that in just over a year. This channel started at the very end of the 2023 season. And now here we are, just one season and a little bit of an off season later, and we've got 500 people in the chat watching live in a live stream about the news going on. So I do appreciate. I will never ever. I got to make me bigger for this. I will never ever not appreciate you guys making this channel possible. Make this little hobby that I had, this little passion that I had, turning it into something where I have a platform to make the Bears fan base a little bit more fun, a different option of a perspective, a little bit more, a little bit more well-rounded from some of the talking heads. I'll give you a different perspective, that's for sure. Ken Schaefer, next man up. It's infectious. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys doing that, being a part of the channel. I will continue to do some members-only stuff as we get going along. I had some of that earlier. We'll get back into that as we go along. So, all right. So with these guys, where does it put us with the cap? Let me show you right here. Got it right here. So on the bottom right, there's the cap. I opened the whole thing up earlier. Right now, as it sits, counting the practice squad, counting the draft picks, we're $3.25 million over the cap. Okay. That's assuming, let's pull this back up. That's assuming these are straight line contracts, which they can't be. So we'll find out as soon as these come out. I will let you guys know. I'm assuming this is going to be something like 14, 16, 18, 12, 14, 5, 17, something like that. Even Drew Dalman, we don't know what his is either. It could be 13, 14, 15, something like that's going on. And we need to sign more draft picks. Right now we have 7 draft picks and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 holes. So 7 draft picks, 11 holes. We could exact more capital, or maybe something like Bill Murray really is going to be the backup guard, which wouldn't be terrible when you have 2 really high value guys. Ryan Bates could still be cut for $3.5 million. His entire $4 million is not. $4 million was all cuttable. We could have cut the entire thing. Now $500,000 goes into effect. He'll get a little bonus with the new league year, so he'll get at least $500,000. We can still cut him for $3.5 million though, and that can be very valuable if you've got a Bill Murray and you want to replace Bill Murray right here. Have another draft pick somewhere. Be able to get a league minimum guy. Long snapper should be an easy one to fill. Scott Daly, $1.17 million. But as it stands right now, assuming these are straight line contracts, which they will not be with the salary cap where it stands, we would be $3.25 million over, and that's including the draft picks. And this is the value of those 7 draft picks. It was $12.5 million before we traded away our 6th rounder to be able to get Jonah Jackson. And then our practice squad players will be $250,000 each this year by 16 of them. So those have to be taken into consideration. So that's where the salary cap stands right now. But every single one of those things, super, super valuable. Every single one of those things is impactful for this team. And now we're just looking at, if you look at that screen right there, our biggest needs going into the draft. And this is where you're going to get the civil war starting now. You're going to get people saying, we're definitely taking Ashton Genty in the first round. Or if the Raiders take him, we're taking O'Marion Hampton first round. They could. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I know what they're going to do, but there's some very equal ground things now. Running back is going to be very important with Drew Dalman, with Joe Thuney, with Darnell Wright. With those three alone, Jonah Jackson's a good run blocker as well. But Joe Thuney, Drew Dalman, and Darnell Wright at each of their respective positions, are each some of the very best in the entire NFL. Those three guys are among the best at their positions at run blocking. You're going to see a ton of running off that right side, even off the inside, off the gut. You're going to see a ton of stuff happening for this team. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. If there's any breaking news that happens now, let me know. All right, so Joseph Archer, we're hitting this one right now. What do you think about the Bears? What are the Bears going to do next in the draft? There's so many options now. Now, anybody who tells you they know what they're going to do, they don't know. No one knows what the Bears are going to do, but there's going to be some clear needs here at the top. Long snapper can be covered in free agency very easily. Wide receiver 5 can be covered very easily. Cornerback, maybe Jalen Jones will come back now. You're going to have 5 different options here. And your primary ones in the first round are going to be running back, and it very well could go running back now. I'm not going to pretend like this couldn't be a running back situation. They could absolutely take running back in the first round. Nose tackle. The very best nose tackles in this draft will be taken in the first round. If the Bears want to prioritize fixing the rest of this interior defensive line, let me go here and show you guys. So there's the offensive line. Here's the defensive line. There's adding Grady Jarrett. There's adding Dayo Odeyingbo. Okay. We still need a backup defensive end in this draft, and we still need a nose tackle. Now, if they want to fix that for years to come, Andrew Billings on the last year of his contract. Andrew Billings is a fine rotational guy, but just like Jervon Dexter, he needed help. If we really want to shore that up, Kenny Grant is probably the best option for the Bears for a big-bodied, big guy that's going to impact this team for years to come. At one point, weighed 360 pounds, has trimmed down his body to be a lean 330 pounds, who is just relentless. He would have that same type of motor that Jervon Dexter, Dayo Odeyingbo, he would be the perfect fit for the Bears, in my opinion. My opinion now is the Bears need to take Kenneth Grant in the first round. If Mason Graham's there, great option. If Walter Nolan's there, also great option. Neither of them are as big as those big, impactful. Kenneth Grant, 330 pounds, at one point weighed 330 pounds. People will say, well, we could trade down. I would hope if we can. Ryan Poles alluded to the possibility, the potential of trading down a little bit in this draft. That's actually on the Bears website. So that's there from his conversation at the Combine, the exclusive interview that he had. He said, if we can trade down and get a little bit more value, that'd be great. And now with where the salary cap is, I think that would be so valuable to do that. I don't think they'd want to go too far because right now Kenny Grant is projected anywhere from 17 to 24 and as high as 12, as high as even one I saw was at 11 or 9. I haven't seen anybody project him to the Bears, but now this is my projection. I'm saying the Bears. So if you want to do that, maybe the Colts would trade up with us. Maybe the Colts would come up from 14. Or are they at 15? Right in that range to be able to get their tight end, because they need a tight end now more than anything. And Tyler Warren is the clear-cut tight end of this class, who I think is going to be just as impactful, as some of the top tight ends last year. So to me, that's my opinion, but it's not. There's no. I mean, we could go Alfred Collins second round and still get a big-bodied guy, and go Ashton Genty or O'Marion Hampton first round. So those are kind of the two biggest needs now. It would be running back and deep nose tackle, but also this elite class of defensive ends. You don't want to miss out on one of these guys. So in the second round, I would really target. Maybe they want to target Shamar Stewart in the first round. Maybe they want to target Nick Scout. Some of these big guys, they might want to do that. With them picking up Dayo Odeyingbo, that really shows that Dennis Allen has a type of defensive end, and if they've got a relentless motor, they can go that way. So it could be defensive end, it could be nose tackle, it could be running back, it could be offensive tackle is still something in play as an option. If someone like Josh Simmons is available there to replace Braxton Jones long term, Braxton Jones is going to have a shot this year. I truly believe that. But Josh Simmons is that top 10 left tackle. And with the way this team is being built up now, next year's a great offensive tackle class. I've preached that to you guys left and right. I've said that. But you're not going to get an opportunity to pick above the 20s anymore. With this team, the way it's, I know we get overhyped on stuff, and I know it's easy to say those things, and it's easy to say, well, the Bears are going to be a playoff team now. Till we do it, there's no saying we've done it. But as things project now, I would bet everybody's projecting the Bears to be a playoff team with the way we've assembled this offensive line, with the cast that we have. I would really think we're a good shot for that. And if that happens, we're not picking top 20. So those top offensive tackles are off the board. Josh Simmons has to be a true consideration in this draft for the Bears. So you're looking at Josh Simmons at left tackle. You're looking at Kenny Grant, Walter Nolan, Mason Graham if he falls. How do you pass on that if he falls to 10? And many people are thinking he could fall to 10. I showed this earlier. Let me remove this. Present. Stop screen. Present. Let's share this from my Twitter right now. Share. It's got Grady Jarrett up right now. We'll close that down. So it's Grady Jarrett. But if you go to my profile, this is the top thing I have on there right now. Mason Graham came back lighter than people assumed. Is it, water weight from the year? I don't know. But he's the exact same size as Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan by Sam is mid to late first round. So does Mason Graham now drop? That's on a lot of people's minds and concerns right now. Mason Graham could drop. If he does drop, do we still take him at 10? How do you not take him with his relentless motor? Same thing. Him and Walter Nolan. We'll do a whole video on prospects coming up, guys. We'll do a whole video on draft prospects. We'll get into that coming up here real soon. But how do you pass up on this year's class with Walter Nolan and Mason Graham and Princely Umanmielen and Princely Umanmielen, 265, same thing, relentless motor. Landon Jackson, 280 pounds, relentless motor. These guys fit the bill for Dayo Odeyingbo to be able to, work in that tandem, in concert with it. So, and Dayo Odeyingbo can kick into inside too with his size. So really, Dayo Odeyingbo to me replaces what's his name? DeMarcus Walker for us. We cut DeMarcus Walker. We replace him with Dayo Odeyingbo, which is a much more productive, much more intense, better pressure rates, higher motor, maybe not as good a tackler as DeMarcus Walker. But when you've got all four of these guys now collapsing the pocket, which the Bears are talking about, getting the pressure from the inside, collapsing the pocket, there's some good options. And Grady Jarrett could move over, could slide. And, Jervon Dexter played a lot of nose tackle in college too. So he could, but neither of them are the big bodied guys. There's some good options with the size of the interior of this defensive line now. So let's see here. Let's just catch up on the chat just a second. Next year's 32nd pick on a left tackle. I like it. Means we're winning the Super Bowl, Jeff. I know what you're doing there. I see what you're doing. I don't know if I agree with this. Teams are going to use leverage on situations. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but there's two ways that could go. Let's get to the running back little slide here. Two ways that could go. We need a running back. We do. We need a running back. A lot of teams need a running back. Some of them in the late first, some in the early first. So those early first teams might be looking at the Chargers, the Vikings, the Broncos, be looking at some of those teams and saying, well, we can't let Ashton Jeanty get past us because he's going to drop down to their 20s, and they'll take him in the 20s. So there's one train of thought with that. The other train of thought is this defensive line class is so freaking stacked and elite. Walter Nolan, Mason Graham, Kenny Grant, Shamar Stewart, Nick Scourton, Mikael Williams. I mean, all these, there's so many good options that we got to take one of these top guys and not miss out on them in the second round. Because while that's true that there's so many good ones, they're not going to last past 50. They're not going to last past there. And then after that, there is a drop-off. There's still some really good quality ones. These third rounders this year are going to be better than the second rounders last year. Fourth rounders better than the third rounders. That's just the way this class is. But you really want to pass on them. And the reality is the depth of this running back class, you can find, and I'm going to just right off the top of my head rank them. Ashton Genty, O'Marion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Quinshaw Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scattaboo. Am I missing somewhere in there? I've got to be missing someone because there's so many freaking good ones in this class. And then you're getting into the DJ Giddens. You're getting into the Devin Neals. I mean, there's just so many good players in this draft that you can pass up on that running back in the first and still get one that's just as quality in the second round. RJ Harvey, yep, you nailed it. Even Brayshul Tutton, they say, will be a third rounder now, running a 4.3 240. So let's get through the rest of this roster here. So we need a running back, we need 2 wide receivers and a tight end. Maybe the Bears see, and Ben Johnson sees Maurice Alexander as a wide receiver 5. They brought him over from the Lions. We'll see. As of now, he's a practice squad player, so I can see it. We still need to add more depth. You see, last year we took 10 wide receivers into the 90-man roster into training camp. Right now we have 6, so we probably need 4 more of those. So there's going to be something else that happens as we move forward to the see here, the linebackers. We do need a linebacker. Maybe they already see Amen Ogbongbemiga filling in that role as Jack Sanborn as the weak side linebacker, as someone who only plays 20% of snaps because we played nickel a lot more than we play base. That's the true reason why Jack Sanborn was disposable, because we don't play Jack Sanborn worth paying him $7, $10, $15 million a year. And it sucks because I really like Jack Sanborn, but Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards are the 1-2 this year, and it's going to be interesting to see how Dennis Allen helps them. Now, if we're going to break down the linebacker position, this last year when the defensive line sucked so bad is really when we had issues. The tackling came down to that. The linebackers were stretched thin. Our linebackers did significantly worse. The linebackers have a huge opportunity with this defensive line being shored up. It's going to help the entire defense, so it's going to be a lot better all around. And then here's our secondary. We need a cornerback. Jalen Jones is still a restricted free agent. We can technically tender that until 2 days from now. Well, actually, tomorrow's the last day to tender that. So we can tender that till tomorrow, but that's $3.26 million. I think they can bring him back cheaper. He might be wanting to test the market. Might be what's happening there. Damian Martinez right there too. I do have Damian Martinez high on my list. You guys saw that earlier. Those who are just tuning in now, we have no cap space. Don't expect any more big signings. Don't expect any signings. Expect little things. We don't know what these contracts look like yet. Let me pull this back up for those who are just jumping in. So this is what it would look like if they're straight line flat contracts, meaning that $48 million contract for Grady Jarrett, if it's $16 million a year. If it's that, then, this is what the salary cap, Dayo Odeyingbo and Grady Jarrett's is 14.5. So I would assume something here of, 13, 16, 19, 12, 14, 16, something like that. Even Drew Dalman's probably, he's probably more of a guarantee to stick around than anybody. So you can see him being something like watch when it comes out. This is what this one's going to be. His is going to be 10 and 17, 17. That's what his is going to be. Or 10 and 16, 16 is what that would be. So 10, 16, 16. That's what Drew Dalman's is going to be when the dust settles. And that'll give us more salary cap space to finish up this roster. Because right now we're sitting at 40, but there's 7 right here through the draft, which would mean we need 6 more, and they're all going to be low level. And if I'm guessing the last free agent signings, you're going to have long snapper there. Scott Dowley, we'll say. Someone like a Jalen Jones, because we've already got some very serious starters. You got Tyreek Stevenson, Jalen Johnson are your primary 2. Terrell Smith, if we run more man, will be a primary there as well. So you've got your main ones there. Josh Blackwell can play both corner and nickel. He's primarily the backup nickel and our punt returner, though. So there's good options. We do need to pick up another cornerback, though, for depth. Linebacker, maybe we're set with these 5, or maybe we pick up one in the draft. I would assume both of these are in the draft. And then I would think one of these positions, probably Bill Murray is, if we tab him in here, if we say Bill Murray is the backup guard, just guard, not center, just guard. And he would be 1030. That would give us one less spot we have to fill. And maybe we are happy with that. Then we're 4.28 over But like I said, these contracts aren't filled out yet. So we're going to see how these are structured. And we like about 5 to 10 million in cap space. So if we save 3 million the first year there, 2 million the first year there, and 7 million the first year there, or 4 million the first year there, we're a little bit more cap friendly here. They'll make it work. The salary cap is a myth. They can adjust it how they want to. But as of now, we're definitely in a range where we're not signing any other. There's no big contracts. There's no big contracts. So no, we won't be in bad salary cap trouble next year at all. Actually, the cap looks really good for next year. I'll do a full when I have all the stuff together. I'll do a full breakdown video on all that so you guys can see it. But there is the team needs as it stands right now, and we're fine. Like this is an ideal offseason so far. Like this is perfect. We only gave away a 6th rounder for Jonah Jackson, a starting right guard for us. And I want to pull that up so you guys can see it because not everybody has the shared or the paid subscription to PFF. So here's Grady Jarrett. I was looking at him. Here's Grady Jarrett all over. Let's pull up Jonah Jackson. Obviously, the injury last year. I spelled your name right by player. Jonah Jackson. Maybe it knows I'm trying to. Am I spelling his name wrong? Jonah Jackson right there. Boom. I don't know why I didn't like it. So there's Jonah Jackson. We're going to go blocking grades. And here was that last week. See here, there's 2 weeks here, right guard, and then he played 1 play. Some people were out there were saying he started in the playoffs. He didn't start in the playoffs. He did lose his job. I understand some people have a negative taste about that, but the Rams had some really good players coming up with Steve Avila, who I liked in the draft a couple years ago. But this one game is the best game that he ever had. 91.8 overall grade, 91.6 run blocking grade, and that was at right guard. So over the course of his career, though, if you look over here, he has played 1.5 games there, and then in his very beginning of his career, he played a couple games there at right guard with Detroit. So very capable of playing right guard. I don't think he's going to have any issue playing right guard for us. So I should have hit that out of the way. Sorry. Yeah, we did re-sign Tavarius Moore. That's not a bad signing either. How much was it for? Do you guys know? Let's go to Twitter. We'll find out together. Let's go to Twitter. Let's all go to the Twitter. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys don't mind hitting the like button, if you haven't subscribed, please do that. This channel's only going to grow. It's only been around for a year and a couple months. I give some different perspectives you don't see everywhere else. I'm not always right, but there's a ton of stuff I am right on. Not trying to float my own horn here, toot my own horn, float my own boat. But you guys will get a different perspective here for sure. Oh, this is the one that I was tweeting. That's what I was talking to you guys about. Get out of here. All right, let's see here. Let's see, Tavarius Moore. Let's see if we can find this together. Extended Tavarius Moore. So the Bears have announced 12 minutes ago 1-year contract extension. I would assume that'd be a very low-level contract extension. Gives us some depth for sure. Brought back Tavarius. So the contract details appear not to be out yet. But I would expect that to be a cheap contract for the Bears. 1-year deal. Probably around $2 million would be my guess, just off the top of my head. Maybe even $1.5 million. Who knows? Obviously, he was trying to make his comeback in the league from being with the Niners in the Super Bowl. There was an injury somewhere in there, and then he missed some time, and then he came back with the Bears. This is probably that play in the Super Bowl. Boop, bam. Anyways, he's a good player. That's a good quality re-signing. I'm good with this one. I'm happy with that. That's good. Any other news that I've been missing? As of now, we're keeping Ryan Bates. Yes, we can save $3.5 million there. We'll see what happens. Oh, hey, tell me if you guys like the Dayo signing or not. In fact, I'm going to put a poll up. Let me go into it. Let me go into this, and I'll put a poll up. Maybe I'll need to Dayo. I'm not even going to try right now. Correct. Signing. Yes or no? Starting the poll. We're starting a poll on this one. This might be one that's torn between people. We'll see what you guys think. So I'm going to go back and explain Dayo. Dayo. I said Dayo. So Dayo, according to scouts in Indy and the people familiar with their team, Dayo's lack of production last year was not just him; it's the entire team, and it was because their secondary was so god awful. I mean, honestly, they struggled. They could have been with the talent on that team. They could have been a playoff team with just a little bit better of a secondary, and they're starting to get frustrated at Ballard over there in Indy. They feel like he should be doing more. They did sign Bynum this year as a safety. That was their big free agency off season move so far. He's a system defensive end. I don't know if I agree with that. He's going to work well with. He's got a relentless motor. We'll pull up some all 22 film on him eventually, guys. We're going to get to all these signings. I'll try to get as much out as I can this next week. But for the value, $16 million a year when your other defensive ends are going for 20, 25, 30, they're going to be very expensive. And this is not just a stopgap. This is someone that can help rookies develop. He's a good player. All right. Let's see where this poll is. Where's this poll at? We've got 66. Okay, most people do like it. So I'm not trying to pick on any of you guys who don't like it. I ended the poll there. Not picking on any of you guys who don't like it. It's a quality signing, in my opinion. I really like Dayo Odeyingbo. Odeyingbo. It's not that hard to say. I just get same thing happened with Jervon Dexter. Jervon. It took me forever to come around to say Jervon right. See, now I'm screwing up Dayo. Dayo Odeyingbo. Dayo Odeyingbo. I need to do my voice exercises. Dayo Odeyingbo. Boom. No clue on Tevin Jenkins, but I do assume that's going to be somewhere in the $20 million range. So $20 million. So King Stu, it's not. I have an accounting background. I run a business. I am a nerd. When I was a little kid, the back of baseball cards, it wasn't about the cool players. I liked the stats. I was a nerd, guys. I skipped the 7th grade. My first job in college at 16 years old was I was a math tutor for Calculus 3. I'm not trying to, it hasn't done anything for me in life other than just being, because I love sports so freaking much. I'm just a nerd. That's all that it comes down to. I'm a freaking nerd. So when you see this stuff come from me, this isn't something that I even want to brag about because it shows how nerdy I am. Like, this shows my nerdiness. But that's the salary cap to me. This is just accounting to me, accounting principles, just understanding, if I was the GM, and that's what I like to do, and that's kind of how this whole channel started. If I was the GM of the Bears, how would I make this work? What would I do? How would I make these things come together? Where can I sacrifice here or there? And we can restructure some contracts. Montez Sweat's not going anywhere. We can restructure that one. We don't want to because you're not in your Super Bowl window yet. DJ Moore can be restructured, but you can see he's going to be heavier the next couple of years after that. So that's it. That's where the salary cap understanding comes from. It's just me being a nerdy analytical accounting background dork. So that's it. Those who didn't hear as well. Justin Fields. Do I want to stir the pot on this one? Let's see how the viewership count goes down when I bring this up. And first of all, I'm going to preface this. I am really, really glad Caleb Williams is our quarterback. I've said that. I've been very high on Caleb Williams. I've made videos on Caleb Williams when I could have, taken my roses for is describing before this last season that there's several. See, my whole pitch last year before the draft was that there's several starting quarterbacks in the 2023 NFL draft, 24. And we could trade down for value and pick Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels. Those are the two that I said I could take my flowers. I don't, because as I've gotten into the whole Caleb Williams thing, I am so freaking glad. We have Caleb Williams. The off-platform throws, his understanding of the game, his presence in front of the media, the way he handles the Chicago market, the way he handles us as fans, the way he handles those of us like me who got duped by the media and needed the pivot podcast. The way he did that, I like Caleb Williams a lot. But for Justin Fields, attaboy, kid. Attaboy. Way to go out and get your bag. 2-year, $40 million contract, $20 million a year. It sounds like he was in deep contract negotiations with the Pittsburgh Steelers before, and he wanted a commitment from them that he would get at least a year to start for them, a year without any interruption. Well, it sounds like Aaron Rodgers might be going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Justin Fields is getting his shot with the Jets. They are giving him a firm commitment. When you get a $40 million deal with $30 million guaranteed, that is not just a bridge. A bridge is like, okay, we'll sign you to 1 year, $15 million while we draft a rookie. This is, hey, we want to see if this kid can shine. We like what we've seen in his athleticism. We've seen him progress each year. Let's see how this kid does, and we're going to give him 2 years to do that. We can draft someone next year. And to me, this is smart by the Jets because this year's draft class is not a deep or talented draft class for quarterback. Next year, if you guys haven't seen me talk about that before, with Arch Manning and oh man, there's so many good quarterbacks. Nico Iomaleava. There's like 6 or 7 in the first round. I'm my brain fart right now because I haven't even been focused on those quarterbacks next year. This is so smart by the Jets. They're giving a commitment this year, still a commitment next year, but then next year they can draft a quarterback either way and then have that. And if Justin Fields absolutely rocks it this year, then they know they've got, and they have another year on a cheap year for 20. Then they'll have to extend him after that. And to me, go get your freaking flowers, Justin. And I'm freaking excited because here's the Bears fan of me, and those who have any of the membership and have the Bears, the Packers puke emoji or the peeing on the piece of cheese or anything like that. For those who hate the Packers, Aaron Rodgers just went to the Jets and didn't make it work. If Justin Fields goes to the Jets and takes them to the playoffs, I will be rubbing it in every single Packers fan's face. I will let them know about it. It will be hilarious. I know it's not the Packers, but they talk crap about Justin more than our own fans do. So anyways, oh, it's not lipstick on a pig. I don't know what you're talking about. Dayo is not an overpaid. This is where I used to get criticized, guys, for just being a stats. They called me Adam Statson. Can't do that. You can't just look at only his stats on this one. Look at last year, 12 sacks, 29 pressures on 365 opportunities. Still the same amount of pressures, but the sacks weren't as prevalent because the secondary sucked with the Colts. 42 pressures for a defensive end, interior / rotational guy on 439 pass rush opportunities is solid. This is a huge upgrade for the Bears. While you're not paying a Josh Sweat, you're not paying, one of the big names out there, you're still getting a very quality guy with a relentless motor whose nickname, according to the Colts, is the human tornado because he doesn't stop. He's always going. His motor never stops. So definitely not an overpay. You guys aren't taking into consideration. You're not taking into consideration the market and where it's going right now. These defensive tackles, these defensive ends, they are. Let's see if I have the video file from last night's video. Let's see right here, March 2025. It's according to night before free agency. This is probably the one. Those who didn't see this is just from last night's video. I'm going to show here, and this is without the new signings today. Where are they at? Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so here's your quarterbacks, wide receivers. Here's your defensive ends and your defensive tackles. Now, Milton Williams has already jumped up into the midst of this. He's the third highest paid defensive tackle now. He got a $26 million a year deal. But your defensive ends are getting paid too. They're getting extended. Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, resetting the market, $40 million, $35 million. So to pay Dayo Odeyingbo $16 million a year for a huge defensive end who has relentless motor, you're going to see him have a record-setting year. I truly believe that. All right. I can't with these comments. Walker is not better. And yes, he was cheaper. There's a reason he got cut. Okay, I'm done with that. So we're going to go back here. All right. So to cap it all off, before we end this thing up, again, appreciate you guys, all of you guys in the comments. You're all entitled to your own opinions as well. You can have your opinions. That's fine. Let's see. Let me see. There was one other comment I wanted to hit here. Where was it? Look at the situation. I saw it somewhere. If I see it, I'll come back to it. Any other breaking news you guys got? I'm going to go to our needs now. So let's go back. So we signed Dayo, Odeyingbo, Grady, Jarrett, who will rotate with Jervon Dexter. And here's our needs now. So you're going to see the Bears Civil War break out again. It's going to be running back. It's going to be offensive tackle. Those will probably be the two biggest factions. My faction will be nose tackle. I really want to get Kenny Grant. I won't be upset if we wait, if we take offensive tackle, if we take running back in the first. I'm not going to be upset. We've done enough work here. I'm not going to be pissed off about it. I think there's better options than he who shall not be named. Then I get irritated, me personally, when fans overhype a player that isn't on the team yet. When they overhype it, especially when he came from the Mountain West Conference. I'm going to do a breakdown of Jackson Woodard, and in there you're going to see he absolutely manhandled as a linebacker. He manhandled Ashton Genty when he got the one-on-ones with Ashton Genty. He ripped into it. Was a beautiful thing. In fact, I'm going to pull one up here. Let's pull up. Stop screen here. Add here. I'm going to pull this up. Just one play, and he broke it down for them. This is more to hype up Jackson Woodard than anything. Let's go to my profile. Where did I put it? Tick right here. All right, so let's pull this up. So while at the Shrine Bowl, I asked UNLV football Jackson Woodard to break down a tackle on Ashton Genty from the season. His breakdown was awesome. I'm going to start over.
Plays.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're running cover 3. We're dropping weak, which is just rolling the safety down weak. We know Ashton Genty is going to get the ball on most plays. They love this stretch play, especially with him. You can call it really a zone, just inside zone, but they
There's
use
Woodard
it more
right
as a
there.
stretch.
There's Genty.
I see the
Woodard
blocker
right there.
coming to me. He's thinking I'm going to flow over, which is technically would be the right path to take, but I see that he's taking way too high of an angle. So I just rip under him, see Genty in the hole, and go smoke him in the hole.
Smoke him in the hole.
Like Ashton Genty.
Extremely hard. Yeah.
I was giving him credit. Ashton Genty's hard to tackle.
When you sort of go against the
so here's the other
right
angle. That's Jackson Woodard, number 7. Ashton Genty's back there.
And a negative at the same time to the coaches.
No, that's a plus. I mean, so here you go. So I'm
Woodard.
sitting here, and I'm just obviously you can see by my alignment, I'm thinking A gap here.
Super intelligent linebacker,
Blocker's
man.
coming, so I could go fill that A gap if I really wanted to. But
there's the blocker.
I'm going to dip and rip underneath. I see the hole. My lineman's doing a great job of getting penetration.
You got caught there.
The backside lineman gets a little
it.
push on me, gather my feet, shoot him.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're running cover 3.
Doesn't mean everything. I know that, guys. I know that. I got to stop that now. Hold on one second. Exit there. All right. There's flaws in every player. There's flaws in every single player. So I am not stuck on one player. It very well could be running back now. It very well could be nose tackle. It very well could be a guard for development. It could be offensive tackle to be able to rotate with Braxton Jones and replace him. It could be tight end. There's several options there in the first. You're going to see Bears Civil War break out now over everyone wanting their guy. I'm not going to be upset if we take Ashton Genty. I won't be upset if we take Omarion Hampton. I won't be upset taking a running back because we need a solid running back. I don't think Ashton Genty, me personally, I don't think Ashton Genty is going to have the best rookie year for any running back. But behind this offensive line, honestly, whoever the Bears take could have the best running back in the league with this line this year. So if we do take Ashton Genty, a lot of people are going to say, I told you so. But honestly, if we took Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Johnson, I think all of them would do just as well behind this offensive line because this is a really solid running offensive line. These guys are going to be blowing people back every game off the line, getting 7 yards per carry. It's going to be fun to watch this offensive line. So Genty versus Penn State highlights are a must watch. Now, there's good and bad you can take from that. Fumbled twice, only 3 yards a carry, 3.4 yards a carry, but he did have a couple where he fell forward really well. So it's going to be interesting. Did Terrell Smith usurp Tyreek Stevens' starting quarterback spot? On my chart, you're going to see that. So I'm going to go back to that. On my chart, you'll see that. This is not factual. This is not Bears. depth chart. The reason I did that is because Dennis Allen uses historically more man coverage than zone coverage. Tyreek Stevenson is one of the worst at staying hip to hip. He cannot stay hip to hip with defenders. It's his one clear weakness. So zone, Tyreek is a beast. Hitting, tackling, smashing people. Tyreek's a beast. Absolutely a stud. Terrell Smith is really, really good at staying hip to hip, at staying man coverage. So I really like that. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up here. I don't think Grady Jarrett would start. No, I don't think he would start over Gervon Dexter. To me, they're 1A and 1B. They're pretty similar. Grady Jarrett's getting older, though. I think this is to help Gervon Dexter, in my opinion. Let's see anything else here. Danny Stuntsman, I do like him too. I like Danny Stuntsman. I think he's going to fall in that zone where we don't have a draft pick, though, between 372 and between 149. I think that's right where he's going to fall. So I don't know. Maybe we can find a way to get another pick, though. So I do like Danny Stuntsman. We have a lot more profiles to do. I'm going to do a lot of player profiles. I've been doing some of those for those who have seen it and who know. I've been doing a lot of those player profiles. I'll keep doing those, especially ones that we do top 30 visits with, ones that we've already met with in some of our biggest needs. So we'll see what happens, but a lot has opened up for the Bears now with these signings, a lot of opportunity. So the Bears are now technically over the cap, but we don't know how those contracts have come out. So as soon as the contracts come out, I'll do a full video on the salary cap again. I know you guys like that. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. We're going to wrap this one up unless a couple of you guys have more questions on the side. If you have any questions, hurry and shoot them out. Shoot out any questions you have. I'm going to wrap this up, trying to keep it right around an hour. Do you think we're done with free agency? Yeah, I think we're done with major. We have to fill some more spots with some low-level free agency, but as far as major signings, we can't afford anything major. You're going to see league minimum contracts from here on out. Travarius Moore type of thing where we re-sign him. Long snapper, you'll see us fill maybe a wide receiver 5 at a league minimum contract. I'd still like to see Rondale Moore for that if we could do it somehow. You'll see some league minimum stuff, but I don't think Edmonds is willing to take a pay cut. I don't think it's in his MO. I think he's going to play this year out and try to prove himself and then not get cut. He's basically playing this year on a 1-year contract. He can be cut next year for very cheap. So to me, Tremaine Edmonds has to play this year like it's a contract year, even though he has 2 years left on his contract. To me, he still needs to do that. Top needs still defensive line in the draft. Yeah, defensive line and running back and depth for offensive line. All three of those things are. But as far as starters, yeah, I would say defensive end, nose tackle is probably the most pressing thing in the draft. Odeyingbo would be a starter as of now, but you want a guy to rotate in with him. I would think we'd still go after a second rounder like Landon Jackson, Jack Sawyer type of thing. We have not re-signed man, what's his first name? Collins, 6'6". Dang it. Collins. What is Collins' freaking name? Anyways, Collins is our big 6'6" guy, 6'5", 6'6". Did really well in the preseason last year. So we did not re-sign him yet. That could still be done. As you saw, we signed Travarius Moore. There's going to be some guys from our own team that we re-sign after they get a chance to test for agency. That's just how it works. Yeah, we can. So we can renegotiate with the three big ones are DJ Moore, Jalen Johnson, and Montez Sweat. We can clear $30 million more in cap space. Do you want to do that now before you enter the Super Bowl window? And by that, what I mean is you got to make the playoffs before you start doing stuff like that. Otherwise, you get yourself into cap hell. You put yourself into a situation where you're, over leveraging before you're in that window where you're making the Super Bowl. So I think we should be a playoff contender this year. That should be step one. So we always like to project we're going to win the Super Bowl. We always like to project the Bears are it. We're here. We've arrived. We're back to 2018. We're back to 1985. Whatever you want to say. We're back. It's always fun to do that. But until we make the playoffs, you can't really open up that playoff window. So goal one this year should be to make the playoffs. You want to win the division to do that. So if I'm the Bears, that's what I'm focusing on. Make the playoffs, win the division. That's where we start. Then the playoff window opens up. Then we can restructure some of these contracts. Then we can fill in the needs that were the biggest needs from 2025 and 2026. And we will have salary cap next year as well with some of these contracts. Maybe Jonah Jackson doesn't re-sign. Maybe Joe Thuney signs an extension. We'll see from that. All right. Let's see any other questions here. It's the penalty for being over the cap. That's a really good question. You get dinged more money. Essentially, you get dinged more money. I think it's like, ooh, I don't want to speak on this one without being refreshed on it, but it's like every contract you sign over the cap. Now we aren't technically over the cap because the rookies haven't been drafted and the practice squad hasn't been set yet. So it's not until we cut down to the 53-man roster. But every one of those, so we have room here. We have wiggle room until we get there. But I think it's a certain amount. Every contract you sign after that point has a penalty associated with it, and it's more money. So you end up paying more money out the wazoo. It's a crazy amount of money too. So you don't want to be over the cap. And then eventually, if it keeps going, they give you stiffer penalties. All right, take the North and never. Yeah, but he never said the time frame. So to be fair, Tom, he said we're taking the North and never giving it back. He didn't say 2023. He didn't say 2024. Maybe he meant 2025. Yeah, I do. I think they're going to use Edmonds in the box still this year. He's got long, lengthy range, though. But know this. Dennis Allen uses a lot of unique sets. He's just like Ben Johnson, which is why I think Ben Johnson likes him. He likes to mix things up as well. He likes to make things appear a way that they don't appear, which is why I would love Nick Amanwari. It's not happening. We're not taking Nick Amanwari. But I would love him for that reason. But he runs a lot of 2 linebacker sets, but with 5 safeties or with 5 defensive back sets. He does a lot of that. So he can make things look unique. I do think he'll be in the box a lot. Edmonds will be. Package him in a trade. I don't think anything's off the table. Colin Johnson, yes, thank you for your help. My goodness, I couldn't have it. It's one of those brain fart things where you can't get it. So, yeah, after June 1st, you have your 90-man roster, and the top 51 have to be under the salary cap. So you have some buffer still there, but it really comes down to the 53-man. Yeah, I don't have Chris Williams in these figures though. I never had Chris Williams in the figures, so that's not even in here. We're still $3.25 million over the cap without Chris Williams, just so you guys know. So I will do a full video breakdown of the salary cap very soon. Once we get these contract details, I'll do that salary cap video. I'll give it to you, but I want to get the details of these salary caps. I want to get the details of how they look because we don't know. So, all right, we're over an hour now. I got to get back to the breaking news. I got to get back to putting stuff together, salary cap video, all that fun stuff, and being a dad and my other job too. So with that, appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do it. I mean, just you're going to appreciate it. You're going to love doing it. You're going to get a different perspective here. If you want to become a member, I will put the link in here later. I will start being better about putting that in there. I think we have 30-something members now, so I do appreciate that. It's going to help grow the channel. We're going to keep rolling and flowing from here. But 2 big signings. Go back to the front page here. Got Dayo, Odeyingbo, and Grady Jarrett to go along with Drew Dalman. We've done good. This is a good offseason for the Bears so far. Poles is cooking. He's keeping his job. So with that, appreciate you guys tuning in. And the Bears. And this thing always ends weird, but